Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready.
It's the home opener for the Utes as they battle Cal Poly in Rice-Eccles Stadium. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. It's another edition of JJ and Alex, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on the show today. We are out here live in Riverton, brand new Napa Auto Parts location. Guess what I got, JJ? Two things. I'm wearing the new Napa hat. Our whole crew is.
They're kind of the throwback.
Everybody's got the new hat they got to wear.
Trucker hat going on.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I'm
blue
cool.
Band over the yellow.
And then what do I have here? New wiper blade for my car, brother.
If you're listening, you can get yours,
yeah,
too.
Man.
Come down here, and they'll put a new set of wiper blades on your
I like
vehicle.
to look at it like
charge.
I had some sort of a hookup, but everybody's got the hookup today. It's free wiper blades here at the Napa location. Brand new, grand opening, 3331 West and 126 South here in Riverton. Come down, check it out in the next 3 days. They're going to be doing these. We'd love for you to come by and say hi. In the meantime, let's jump into the program here. Our show brought to you by G2G Bars, awesome protein bar. Give it a shot today. And then let's kick things off right now as we do every hour. It's The Cut, top of the program.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Doug Smith brings you this portion of The Cut this hour. Of course, an incredible selection of Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram, and now Mitsubishi in the Doug Smith brand of dealerships. Nobody knows cars like Doug. Nobody knows the Stanford Cardinal like Troy Clardy, who's the Stanford Cardinal play-by-play voice. Troy, thanks for being on the program here with us.
You bet. And, hey, how long is that deal with the free wiper blades going till?
Hey, listen.
I need some for my car.
You come down.
Troy, hey, you're coming out here on Saturday, right?
You could come up. They're going to be open Saturday. Bring that car out. You know what? You could just – I know you're probably flying in, but guess what? You could probably come up here, tell them the car, and they'll hook you up.
It'd be worth the commute.
Tell them you know Jeremiah, and you'll be hooked up absolutely. So, Troy, this yeah. I don't know if you've ever called a game in Provo. Is this the first time to Lavelle Edwards Stadium?
This will be my second time. My first time was actually the last time that Stanford and BYU met in Provo. You got to go back to 2003 for that game.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the first start for a freshman quarterback in John Beck for BYU, but also Trent Edwards got the start in his freshman year, his first career start for Stanford. And he threw for a grand total of 25 yards that night. But he also ran in the game-winning touchdown, and Stanford won 18-14. And Edwards wasn't even the leading passer for Stanford that night because Luke Powell, a wide receiver, went 1 for 1 for 31 yards. So Stanford won that game despite passing for only 56 yards. It helped that BYU rush for a grand total of -5 that day. But Stanford hoping for similar results and hopefully better outcomes in the passing game this time around when the Cardinal head to Provo.
Man, throwback. There's some memories back then. We remember, you remember Kirk Chambers, Troy?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
He's a head coach of Provo High School here in Utah now. He played in that game. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just the Stanford ties, and I mean, we
well,
could go all
you know
day.
What that means is I was a student in the stands for that game too. Last time that happened.
That just means we're all old, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah. That's the larger
reality.
We can move on from that.
Sure. Troy, what does this look like with this Stanford team right now? We were trying to get a little bit of a picture of it with, this one-year deal they're going to have with Frank Reich coming in. I think a lot of people obviously believe in what, Andrew Luck can do as a guy who's a GM of that program. And, you think about what Stanford does in terms of commitment to athletics, but it just feels like such a weird time for college football and for Stanford because it feels like they're on different pages sometimes.
Well, and look, it was a weird time to have to make a coaching change, right?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want to have to make that kind of decision that Andrew Luck eventually had to make in late March, right? When the coaching cycle and the coaching carousel has long since stopped. So, Luck broke out his phone, made the phone call to Frank Reich, who, of course, was Luck's head coach with the Indianapolis Colts. And Reich was, he was chilling at a Costco in Greensboro, North Carolina, of all places, going out to get the strawberries when he got the phone call.
Wow.
He took a couple of days or so, thought about it, and came to the farm. And look, Stanford is very much in a transition period. In many different ways, especially look, everybody's in a transition period when it comes to college sports, right? But certainly for Stanford with Andrew Luck taking the helm of the program, Frank Reich here on an interim basis just for this year. There will be a new permanent Bradford Freeman director of football for the 2026 season coming in at some point. Oh, by the way, there's a new president at Stanford who just latched on about a year or so ago and has shown a great commitment to athletics. And, oh, by the way, there's a new athletic director who's going to be occupying the corner office at the athletic department building. His first day is on Monday. So certainly it's a transitional period for Stanford football and for Stanford athletics in many different ways. But you know what? Opportunities out there for Stanford to go out there, try to win some ball games. They went back to the lab after that disappointing result at Hawaii a couple of weeks ago. But chances to get back in the lab, try to get better in so many different phases of the game, and try to start making some statements and try to head back towards the stages that this program had been playing on 10 years ago.
Well, BYU fans are going to be watching this game on Saturday. Who are some of the athletes for Stanford that have a chance to have a big impact in this game that BYU fans need to be aware of?
Let me start on the defensive side of the ball because there were fewer question marks on that side entering the season, and that has certainly remained the case as we head into week 2. Even though he was a pretty quiet guy against Hawaii, Tevaru Tafiti, probably Stanford's best edge rusher, number 11, can really get in the backfield and wreck shop, rack up TFLs, rack up sacks, and rack up hits, and make life miserable for the quarterback. Was a little bit dinged up during camp, was a little bit quiet, did have one quarterback hurry against Hawaii, but certainly he can be lethal coming off of the edge and basically unblockable at times. Really the strength overall of the Stanford defense is the defensive line. Guys like Anthony Franklin, who started 35 games in his career. Clay Patterson, who's in his 7th year. He's also started 30-plus games on the collegiate level. On Stanford's very first snap, defensively against Hawaii, Patterson just broke through, just absolutely turnstiled the Hawaii offensive line, sacked the freshman quarterback in the end zone, forced the ball loose, and it was picked up by Stanford for a quick 6 points. It was a beautiful thing to watch. I saw that, I was like, oh man, the tree fence is back. Here we go. But also outside of that, Zach Bucky, Zach Rao, Braden Marceau Olaenka, and Omar Staples too. So defensive line, deep, experienced, and physical. Tevaru Tafiti can get after the quarterback, and a secondary that got quite a bit healthier during the bye week and into this week. Colin Wright, Stanford's best cornerback, did not play in Hawaii as he was dinged up during camp. He's available and good to go. Scotty Edwards, safety from Holiday, Utah, Olympus High School, right down the road, right in the area where you guys are, did not play against Hawaii, but he is back and good to go. Fellow safeties Jay Green and Mitch Lieber also there as well. So really the names to know are mostly on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, it's still a work in progress. Running game looked great against Hawaii, although maybe you'd like to see some more explosive runs instead of the plodding pickups that they were able to get against the Rainbow Warriors. Passing game right now is a complete unknown. It went virtually nowhere. I mean, 30 passes for 109 yards, and you throw in there a 36-yard completion. That's not going to cut it. So that's the really big question mark for Stanford coming into this week.
What are the concerns for Cardinal fans who are watching this BYU team? Obviously, they scored 69 points, but it's against a really, really low-level FCS program. Yeah. But they are starting a true freshman quarterback. Bear Bachmeier got 5 total touchdowns in his first go. What's the thing that stands out to you on film about this Cougar team?
Yeah, and look, I mean, 69-0. What value do you really truly get from a result like that? Really tough to tell. That being said, you'll certainly take that if you're rooting for BYU over the alternative, right? Portland State keeps it close, BYU weeks out a win, and then you're really starting to ask some questions about yourself. And look, the obvious subplot here is going to be Bear Bachmeier, who just 4 months ago, just over 4 months ago, was on Stanford's campus, was an early enrollee, was there for winter quarter when it began in January, participated in spring ball, and during the middle of spring ball, word got out that he was hitting the portal. He was allowed to complete spring practices. He transferred right after that, and he brought his brother Tiger, who had been just wrapped up his second year in the program at wide receiver. He brought his brother Tiger with him. So certainly there's going to be a lot of intrigue surrounding that part of it, and it's going to be intriguing to see how the Stanford defense maybe potentially throw some different things at Bear Bachmeier. I mean, look, I'm not exactly a defensive coordinator. But, I mean, come on, let's get real here. I'm not exactly sure what Portland State was trying to throw at Bachmeier and how well they were able to execute that game plan, or even if it could. Now, Stanford, I'm sure it's going to have a game plan, and I'm sure they're going to try to confuse Bachmeier, who is making just his second start, on the collegiate level. It's a big step up from high school ball, and hopefully Stanford defensively can help make that so. So that's probably going to be the one big thing to watch in this game. But, hidden in that is who wins the line of scrimmage. BYU likes to be physical. Stanford would like to be physical, and they were for the most part against Hawaii, and they certainly have the personnel on the defensive side of the ball to win the trenches. So, whoever the more physical side in the trenches on the line of scrimmage and wins the line of scrimmage more often than not certainly gets a leg up in this one, I'd imagine.
Yeah, Troy, there's no doubt that Stanford's going to throw something much different at Bear Bachmeier than Portland State was able to do, and it's going to be really fascinating to see how Bear handles that. I'm curious, Bear was there for a short time in Stanford. How big of a recruit was he for Stanford? Did anybody give you any indication what plans were for him? Did he have a chance to compete for the starting job this fall? What was the feeling at Stanford about Bear Bachmeier in the short time he was there?
Yeah, he was a good get, commonly known as a good get, a 4-star for the previous regime. That being said, throughout the spring, there were no real indications to me anyway. And look, wasn't around the team, didn't see every single practice, but dropped in during a couple during the spring, talked to folks, saw some things with my own eyes, and really there was no real serious indication that he was really at that point in the mix for the starting job. Elijah Brown, coming back from last year, started a game, was the only quarterback who had taken snaps that was returning for Stanford this year. Miles Jackson, Charlie Meyer, Rick Meyer's son, by the way, both on the roster as well. But I think we all also knew that Stanford was going to probably take a look at making a couple of additions in the transfer portal, and it did with Ben Branson, who has been the starter, the sixth-year man out of Oregon State, and Dylan Risk, the youngster from UCF. So, there was no real indication at that point that Bachmeier was in the mix for the starting job. So it's incredible, and it makes it even more surprising when you take that into consideration and you look at how things are now, today. And look, obviously one huge domino had to fall in Provo, right, for Bear Bachmeier to even think about being a QB1 here. I'm pretty sure if Jake Retzlaff was still taking snaps for the Cougars, we're not exactly having this conversation. But by all accounts, he's taken hold of the opportunity and rolled with it. And here he is, QB1.
Troy Clardy is the play-by-play voice of the Stanford Cardinal. They're coming into town, of course, for a late one in Provo, LaVelle Edwards Stadium, and BYU hoping to get a nice performance out of their freshman quarterback. Their running back, L.J. Barton, was also a Stanford commit at one point. He was part of that conversation. He was part of that group that left after David Shaw had left the farm, and he's a guy who BYU has absolutely fallen in love with. He presents quite a bit of a problem for any defense. The guy is massive. He's physical. He's fast. He doesn't have that top-end speed. I don't necessarily think that guys like Tyler Algier have had in the program before, or Jamal Williams, but he still is a big back and somebody who I think that BYU is going to lean on for a lot of carries this weekend.
Yeah, and look, as mentioned, BYU probably in all likelihood, if they had their own choice, would probably like to to pound the rock as much as it possibly can. Physical running game as much as it possibly can. Sione Mua, I'm sure, also helps out, or more rather, I believe, also helps out in that respect for BYU as well. And it's funny you bring up LJ and the fact that he changed course after Stanford changed course with David Shaw leaving after the 2022 season. Oh, by the way, that was the last time Stanford and BYU met on the football field.
That's right,
so
right.
It's amazing and incredible to think about how many things have changed at Stanford since that final Saturday in November of 2022. And certainly LJ, he can make decisions, and it seems to be working out for him for the most part. A bit dinged up for him last year, had a great freshman year, but looking to bounce back, and he's off to a good start so far this year. So that'll be intriguing to watch that chess match between the BYU running game, how physical it can be, and how many hats the Stanford defenders can put on people.
Troy, for the last decade and a half, Stanford and BYU have been engaged in a lot of recruiting battles. We brought up a few here already. You go all the way back to Taysom Hill and Jim Harbaugh back in those days. Just so many players from Utah end up playing at Stanford. Curious what the situation is currently with Stanford's recruiting. I know that they had to do things and still have to do things much different than other schools. What's their approach to recruiting right now, and how heavily are they hitting the portal? How heavily do they recruit Utah?
Yeah, they're still going to look to largely build through the draft, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, they use the transfer portal much more than they ever have for this season. 17 incoming transfers for this season. And to put that in perspective, between 2020 and 2024, that 5-season span, Stanford had 13 incoming transfers total. So that's changed around a bit. And the biggest thing that needed to change wasn't the admission standards, because, look, let's face it, the admissions office has huge influence on the Stanford campus. That is what that is. They have the high standards, and that is not going to change, nor should those standards change, quite honestly. What needed to be switched around a little bit was the process. Right? The admissions process. The admissions office needed to be a bit more flexible and a bit more nimble in being able to quickly admit or quickly not admit, certain guys that Stanford was trying to bring in, instead of, forcing all the decisions to be made, among everybody else in late March or whenever they send out the fat envelopes now. Although I don't think they send out fat envelopes if you get into Stanford these days. I think it's all done by email. Shows you how old I am once again. But I think you get the point here. Stanford is not going to be a team that just rolls through the portal and flips over the entire roster, and the next thing you know, you look at the roster, and, hey, you've got 65, 70 brand-new dudes on the team. That's just not how it's going to work. So Stanford does have to, be a bit more mindful of its high school recruiting. That might make the team a bit younger, in the interim, where you see more freshmen, more youngsters, more sophomores getting opportunities on the field. But at the same time, things are definitely changing and turning around as far as, the admissions office being more flexible, being more nimble, and being quicker with its process. So that's certainly borne out in the number of transfers already contributed and played for Stanford so far this year. I'm sure that's going to be the way. Obviously, again, not to the point where you look at what's happening in Boulder and other places around the country, but still, it's got to be a way. Got to be a way of the future, right? It's college football. Transfer portal is very much how you build a team these days.
Troy Clardy, he's the play-by-play voice of the Stanford Cardinal. He'll be in Provo making that call on Saturday night for that 8:15 kickoff there in Provo. We're looking forward to it, Troy. I'm going to knock on your radio door before you guys get going in earnest, and I'll say hello.
Yeah, please do drop by. Appreciate you. I'll be, if you want to drop off my wiper blades, I wouldn't be too mad at that. Thanks a bunch. Really appreciate the time. Looking forward to what happens on Saturday. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and go Stanford.
There he goes.
Go. Thanks, Troy. Enjoy Provo.
Yeah,
we're happy to have you.
Throws in a go Stanford at the end. Best I could probably do, I don't know if I could show up with his wiper blades for him. I might hand him a cougar tail.
Oh, that would be tremendous.
Wouldn't it be funny if he texts us, though, and goes, anyway, it's a 2019 Ram 1500. Thanks. on the wiper blades. Send him home with a Stanford loss, and then
I'm going to take Troy's order. Yeah, send him out here with a W or for an L.
Put these on the carry-on. Put these on the carry-on.
Some new wiper blades.
Be fine.
Parting gift.
Why does he want
those? It's like when
those?
you go on game shows back in the 80s. It's like,
you
lose, but you get some wiper blades.
You're going to get those Napa wiper blades, courtesy of the folks.
Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat.
We watched way too many 80s game shows. We'll take a break. We got more to go around the corner. Stay with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
It's another battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. It's a trip to College Station for Utah State as they take on Texas A&M. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on the program today. JJ, just checking my notes here. It's Thursday Night Football tonight. That means today is Thursday, right?
Correct. That checks notes, yes.
Thursday, which of course means that it's the time of the week for us to be able to roll out our Hercules Hero of the Week winner. You nominated Youth Sports Volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week award. We read those winners off every Thursday, and we've got one to read off here for you. The winner of this week is Juan Grillo. The nomination was done by Hannah McGuire. Juan is my son's soccer coach and has just volunteered as a community soccer coach for years. It seems like he really does love doing this and is such a great example to the boys. He always throws them a fun party at the end of the season and makes each player feel special with an individualized award. He teaches them soccer, but he also teaches respect and sportsmanship. Our winner this week is Juan Grillo, who ends up getting himself a gift card from the folks at your Hercules First Federal Credit Union and $200 to Beehive Meals. We always love those awesome youth sports volunteers who go the extra mile, and Juan represents that as well. Thank you so much for your nomination, Hannah, as well. You can nominate a youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week program just by going to KSLSports.com/contest. You click on that contest page, you dial it up, you get it going. And the folks at Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals sponsor this program. It's just awesome, so we love being a part of it. JJ, the interesting thing from this week that also popped up, you and I had this conversation, and this is something that we had back and forth in our show prep tweet between you, me, and then our producer Alex Napolis, and it's a wild thing because we already know that this goes on, and I just don't see this changing necessarily just by saying, oh, yeah, some things are going to change in the college football playoff. They're going to add some teams. Maybe it goes to 16. Maybe it does. But that being the case, you have to figure out a way to make the voting normalized. And here's what the conversation had between Tom Fornelli and Chip Patterson on the Utah way of getting into the poll this week.
I wish Utah was higher. I just think that no one watched it.
They were left off of 28 ballots.
Yeah, Utah was checking in at like number Utah I think was like 26 in the preseason balloting, and they only move up, or 27, they only move up to 25. That is not in line with the statement that was made. I just think that 11 p.m. Eastern time kickoff, no one saw how clinical that was. Tom, no one saw that. What was it, a 10-minute drive?
Mm-hmm.
They just put that thing in park, and they were like, okay, we've been beaten up on these guys enough. Let's get this thing to triple zeros. They could have scored 50 in that game if they really wanted to.
And I'm really happy you brought it up, because this is like a poster case of like West Coast bias and then like Big 12 bias. You know what I mean? In that Utah could appear as high as number 7 on a ballot. In Sam McEwen's, they also received votes for 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Like they were getting top 15 ballots. Yeah. But then you don't even show up on 28 ballots. That tells me that you were not watched, because you were the late night game on Saturday. So everybody else was either writing their stories, if they are actually writing members of the college football media, which again, a lot of the people in this poll aren't. They're like radio hosts, or they're just whatever. But that tells me you actually aren't watching college football, and yet you are voting in one of the polls that we use to argue about it.
It is weird.
Great point.
You know, and I hate it, too, because it's not going to change when – like the AP voters are, I mean, I don't know, unless they drastically tell them what their new charge is, which is you stay up till the very last game on every one of those nights. The reality is you're not going to get that. Utah left off of 28 ballots, JJ.
That's a joke.
That just means that you have a bunch of uninformed voters. It's not even about whether or not they're biased or not. They're uninformed. And so when you watch that and you go, oh, yeah, Utah, they had a pretty good game. So they have to do extra work. And I saw one of the comments, it was by, you know, some Utah fan group that was just like, the polls shouldn't even matter till week 6 anyway. Even if that were the case, you're still going to have people who don't watch late games. I don't care what time of the year is the time that these matter, quote unquote, the most. You're going to have people on the East Coast who don't watch it, or they don't watch the highlights of it, or they don't care about what happens at the very end of that thing. It's not about watching it even get down to the, okay, did that game go final? Now I'll make my decision. It's about going, oh my gosh, Utah is absolutely steamrolling these guys, and the third quarter just got over. I've got to kind of reevaluate where I'm at here in my life if I'm not voting for Utah to be in the top 17 or 18 teams of the country, which is probably more likely along the lines of where they should be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the Associated Press polices that or makes. How do you fix that?
They do not, and
right?
you can't. When you have so many representatives,
but then your poll loses credibility.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And that's what I worry about. Is we do use the AP Top 25 as kind of, you know, before the college football playoff first polls come out. We kind of use that as a gauge of where people stand nationally, and it does drive conversation, but that drives exposure. It drives publicity, and you know it's interesting because the TV partners love having the 8 o'clock games. Like Fox and ESPN love having a team like Utah,
right,
BYU, and USC that they can put on the air at 8 and 9 p.m. Mountain Time or Pacific Time.
That way, you're watching for 12 hours all day.
But then it's such a disadvantage because you are not being seen on the East Coast primarily. And if that's the consequences of you playing late games, you know, they don't have a choice. They're going to have to play when the TV partners tell them when to play. But, you know, it's got to be frustrating for these schools on the West Coast to be ignored and to see that what they're doing and what they're achieving on the field isn't being recognized properly. It's a problem for the AP Top 25 poll. I don't know how they're going to police it. I don't know how they figured it out. But anybody that knows college football, like they said, the ball knowers, that watched Utah on Saturday night, and they were the second most receiving votes that week, belonged in the top 25. And I believe BYU belongs in the top 25 too. They didn't move 1 inch. And I'd be curious to see what the discrepancies were from their votes. Obviously, nobody watched BYU. It was on ESPN Plus. Similar problem, right? Unless you're playing a marquee game earlier in the day. Like, there was 20 million people watching Ohio State and Texas. They got all the exposure. And that backfired on Texas and Arch Manning.
Yeah.
But Ohio State rose up to number 1 because of it.
Yeah.
Right? So it is a problem for teams on the West Coast, and I don't know what the solution is, but it's a problem for the AP Top 25 because it damages its credibility.
Let's take another break here. We'll come back. We have our top 10. I don't want you to miss it, okay? Top 10 edition of the program. We're also going to chat with Eric and Pete, who are right here at the McNeil's Auto Parts, Napa Auto Parts, brand new Napa Auto location, opened up right here in Riverton, 3331 West and 126 South. Easy enough for you to find here. And they're doing free wiper blades. They're doing free battery tests as well. You come up and you say, hey, these wiper blades look like crud. They'll say, okay, model, make, year, boom, got it. And they'll hook you up. We see all the wiper blades on these tables, too. And it's just a great place to come down and check it out. We've got these yellow Napa hats you can also look at, get a brand new battery. They have the bag sale going on at this location only. You fill up a blue Napa bag full of any of the auto parts that you can fill it up with in the store, 20% off. That's like a game show type situation. It is. It feels like you're winning a contest, man. I love it. So come on down, 3331 West and 126 South, McNeil's and Napa Auto Parts right here in Riverton, brand new location. We'll come back. We got more to go. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go!
Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. The Cougars get set for a home showdown with Stanford this Saturday. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah, Jensen. Thanks for being with us today. Hey, thanks for listening. Another thank you throwing your way by us giving you a family 4-pack of tickets to call-in number 12 right now. To what, you might be asking? How about Corn Bellies and Spanish Fork? Call-in number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE, 801-575-9663. Gets you a family 4-pack of tickets to the Corn Bellies down there in Spanish Fork. Top 10, JJ. You know how this works? I give you a category, and then you give me, and then our producer Alex can also participate. Oh, you know what? He's been showing up for you lately.
He's been pulling my weight.
Well, what he's been doing is you guys have been getting to a respectable level, or like a semi-embarrassing level. He puts you over the top. Maybe he adds one more to where it's not as it's respectable.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It is good. So here's the category. Since it is the NFL's first game of the season this year, we're going to get you a top 10 of the NFL's top 10. Now, a little bit of this is going to be a quiz it's going to be a recall of some of this is kind of a test because we've heard some of these names before, but I'm going to remind you what the NFL top 100, what the top 10 were. So give me the top 10 of the NFL top 100 going into the 2025 season. I feel like this is one where you guys can get pretty close to
Boy, I did not pay attention to any of that.
When we did it? I swear we did the last 10, didn't we? At some point. We talked about them. But if that's not the case, you can probably off the top of your head remember who some of these are, and if not, our producer Alex can help you. You've got 60 seconds on the clock. On your mark, good, set, go.
Patrick Mahomes.
Ding.
Lamar Jackson.
Did you say Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
Ding.
Joe Burrow.
Ding.
Justin Jefferson.
Ding.
Jamar Chase.
Ding.
Okay. Running back, the number one, Saquon Barkley.
Ding.
Okay. No CeeDee Lamb on there. No Micah Parsons. Okay, jeez.
I wasn't doing it
hard
to be mean. I was just saying.
Alex, anything? Anybody? Who am I missing?
Alex,
let's go around the league.
Anybody?
Let's go around the league. No Bo Nix. My Bo Nix isn't on there. Not top 10.
No, Bo Nix. Come on.
Oh,
Denver Broncos.
Pat Surtain is.
Pat Surtain.
Boom.
Ding.
Got him. What other teams around the league? Who's the best teams? Who am I missing here? Oh gosh, dang. Tua's not on there.
Sorry for the laugh.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield. No. Okay.
Top 10.
Yeah. How many? I got a few.
You
and I'm getting no help from the office. Oh man.
Alex, what's going on there? Were you taking phone calls for that contest? Is that where your head was at?
He wasn't.
Yeah.
I did all right.
You did. You got 8 out of 10.
Okay. Who are the two I missed?
Josh Allen.
No, I said Josh Allen.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Ding.
Okay, thank you. I hit him right out of the gate.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry's the one I missed.
Yeah, that was the one.
So I did pretty good.
You did 9 out of 10?
Okay.
Could have probably gotten help from our producer. You would have been perfect.
Derrick Henry's one of those, kind of a fringe. Who's 11 and 12? You don't have 11 and 12 on
11 and 12 I do have. Hold on. I just had it right in front of me. TJ Watt.
Okay.
And Chris Jones.
Okay.
Those are your 11 and 12.
So
two edge rushers.
Pretty good that I just missed Derrick Henry.
Now, the edge rusher is
I should have guessed Derrick Henry.
What's
after
crazy
the
is the edge rusher is like the highest paid non-QB now. But we're still putting running backs 1, 7. Yeah, 1 and 7 on the list. No edge rushers. No. Myles Garrett. Sorry. Myles Garrett was it. You said Myles Garrett, right?
No.
Myles Garrett.
What number?
8.
Oh, I missed Myles Garrett.
Yeah, missed Myles Garrett. So you actually did 8 out of 10.
We placed with the Browns. It's easy to forget.
So there you go. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got more to go. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.